Hello, Todd Clemens, excuse me, Okeechobee Livestock Market, and here's your weekly market report for the last sale of June. If you can believe it, 2022 is halfway over, and we're getting ready for the rest of the year to come, and things are going to be good, I hope. We're going to be closed next week, celebrating the 4th of July, Independence Day, for this great country that we live in. We're very blessed. And let's observe that day and eat a lot of hamburgers and steaks and things like that. Go out there and grill and spend time with your family and celebrate our independence and what this country stands for and how blessed we are. This week the sale was a little bit weird, kind of back to normal on the feeder calf percentage and the slaughter cow percentage, back to the normal range of about 20% of slaughter classes. But it's still unbelievable and amazing how high these cows are still selling. Still bringing in the mid-80s, a few cows into the 90s, which is really good. And bulls, good big bulls, are bringing well over $1, $1.10, $1.15, some of them $1.18 or $1.20. So the prices are holding up really good on the slaughter end. The feeder calves was a little bit off, and I don't really have an explanation. I don't really know the reason, but it was just crazy. The lightweight calves were lower, and even the 500 and 600 pound calves were off $4 or $5, maybe $6 on the steers. The heifers held their value a little bit better, were maybe $2 to $4 lower on the heifers, which doesn't make sense either, because the cost of gain for heifers usually is higher than what it is for the steers, because of the performance and the conversion rate on steers is better than it is on heifers. We're talking about cattle on feed. But anyway, things are still selling pretty good. Let me give you a breakdown on some of the numbers here. These would be for the number one steers. In the medium number one steer category, 4 to 450 weight range was an average weight of 424, and the average price was 165. From 450 to 500 pound steers with an average weight of 485 at 163. The 5 to 550 category, average weight of 521 at 159. And the 550 to 6 category, an average net weight of 569 at 156. Those steers right there probably last week would have averaged probably $1.60 to 62 or 3. So I don't understand why it was a little bit lower this week, but it's still pretty good. The futures board has been positive. The fat cattle are selling for steady money, and there's still a big disparity between the south and the north. The Texas cattle are selling at a discounted price, and I was on a conference call this morning with the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, had a marketing meeting discussing the CME, the Chicago Mercantile, the fat and feeder contracts on the board that these buyers use to figure out what they're going to give for animals on a live basis. And there's a lot of difference between the cattle trading in Texas and the cattle trading in Nebraska and Iowa. There's a big disparity, like 15-cent difference between the south and the north. And come to find out, there was discussion about a lot of cattle coming over from Mexico are fed in Texas at some of these corporate feed yards, and Mexican cattle, and also dairy cross cattle, which are subpar cattle that don't grade and yield to standards of what the northern cattle grade and yield at, and so they should be discounted. Their value would be less than the cattle that are grading 80% choice or better. And I think that when you look at the board, the prices on the board are showing the whole, it's adding the Mexican cattle and the dairy cross cattle, and all those subpar cattle are all figured in on that board, which is not helping any of us that are selling higher, better quality cattle. So there's discussion about talking with the CME to try to get some of those contract specs straightened out, so that if there is delivery of cattle off the board, that they're not these lesser subpar cattle. And actually Mexican cattle aren't even born and raised in the USA. They shouldn't even be qualified for any contracts on the board. That should just be United States of America product, born, raised, and harvested here in the U.S. So that little deal right there will help us if something can happen. But there's a lot of, the packers and the higher corporate deals are going to be all, they're not going to want anybody to rock the boat. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. But we're off next week. We had a fairly decent run this week, 700 on Monday, maybe closer to 800 on Monday, and then around 1100 or better there on Tuesday. So we're getting into the heavy, big runs of the year. After the 4th of July, things will really start picking up. There'll be a lot of cattle coming in, and we'll start seeing some really good number one calves from some good ranches and good places around here, and things are going to start happening. So let's all have a good holiday next week, get rest up, and get ready to get back at it after the 4th. Our high prices for the week are not really that high on the calf side. We had a 265-pound calf that brought $2.15, and that was the high price. High price on a little calf. It wasn't so little, $265, but that's still not bad money for a little calf. And the calf was brought in by a tiny cattle company, Fort Pierce, bought by an individual, Solomon Felix. And on the slaughter cow side, Mitchell Hancock, right here from Okeechobee, topped the slaughter cow price with a 1,310-pound cow that brought $1.07, bought by Florida Beef. Have a nice holiday. See ya in 2 weeks.